A famous translator, Zhou Keishi, once said, "There are books that remain youthful whether they are 70, 80, or just 10 years old." This statement perfectly describes the timeless masterpiece, The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, a fairy tale for adults that has profoundly moved and influenced me. Behind each fairy tale within the story, we uncover the innate desires present in every individual in the adult world. Though it appears to be a thin book with simple language, it serves as a soothing balm for souls across the globe. After reading The Little Prince, we come to realize that the deepest wisdom often resides within the purest hearts. Let go of the outer layer. The Little Prince lives on asteroid B612, a tiny planet with very little to its name, just 2 active volcanoes. Every day, he wakes up early to clean the volcanoes and remove the baobab seeds. These seeds, carried unintentionally by the wind, are dangerous because they can grow into monstrous trees. If left unchecked, his small planet would soon be overrun and destroyed by the baobab's relentless growth. While baobabs could bring life to his barren world, attracting migrating birds or providing shade from the blazing sun, he diligently removes them. In truth, our lives are also filled with such baobabs, clothes worn only once or twice but piling up in overstuffed wardrobes, books gathering dust on shelves, never read, discounted items bought on impulse and left to clutter forgotten corners of our homes. Psychology identifies this pattern as the Diderot effect. It describes how we tend to spend on things we don't truly need. When we buy something new, we instinctively seek complementary items to achieve a psychological sense of harmony. For instance, you buy a new outfit and suddenly feel you need matching shoes or a handbag. You purchase a tea set or sofa and realize the room's decor feels mismatched, prompting a redesign. In today's materialistic era, we're unconsciously drawn into excessive consumption. Rarely do we think about simplifying, reducing, or letting go. Instead, we're compelled to accumulate, upgrade, and add to our possessions. According to the author of The Minimalist Life, owning something means expending your energy on it, though we seldom realize this. The quality of life doesn't depend on how many things you own, but on how much time you have to bring joy to yourself. If our hearts remain shrouded by endless material desires and we tirelessly chase them, we may unknowingly miss the happiness of the present moment. Worse, this pursuit can leave us exhausted, drained, and even more unhappy. To uncover the true essence of life, we must start letting go, from the outside in, and regularly clear away the baobabs in our lives. Let go of desires. Before arriving on Earth, the Little Prince traveled through 6 small planets and encountered 6 peculiar grown-ups. The first grown-up he met was a king living on a planet where he was the sole ruler. This king issued strict decrees for the imaginary subjects he envisioned to obey. Like a nail hammered into a throne, he sat motionless all day, gripping his scepter tightly in both hands. Frightened by this, the Little Prince quickly said goodbye and left. Another grown-up the Little Prince met was a strange merchant. Every day, this merchant counted with an abacus, wrote receipts, and locked them in a drawer. The Little Prince was curious and wondered who the merchant was working with. The merchant explained that he was counting the stars in the sky, the wealth he was depositing in the bank. He was consumed by his desire for riches and unable to free himself. His entire life was spent stuck at his desk, living as a counting machine. Whether it was the king or the merchant, these grown-ups were not much different from those of us who have fallen into a bottomless pit of desires, the endless pursuit of status and wealth. Once we sink into this abyss, we find ourselves never satisfied. Isn't that the greatest tragedy of life? Excessive desire turns people into moths drawn to the flame of greed, driven endlessly by fame and fortune without ever reaching a destination. This leaves only exhaustion and emptiness. We lose the time to be mindful, to experience the present, and the meaning of life slips further away. Let go of unworthy relationships. The little prince eventually arrived on Earth and landed in an uninhabited desert. For days, he saw no one. He shouted into the lonely valley, only to hear the echo of his own voice. To escape solitude, he poured out his heart to everyone he met, but the result was always disappointment. He called out to a snake, only for the snake to coldly threaten to eat him. He eagerly shared his past with a railway switchman who ignored him. He met a vendor selling thirst-quenching pills, but the vendor merely tried to swindle him into buying the pills. To avoid loneliness, the little prince tried his best to connect with people on Earth. But those indifferent, self-serving individuals only sought to exploit him. It wasn't until he met the fox that things changed. The fox invited him to the dunes to watch the sunset together. They shared their thoughts and emotions. The fox told the little prince that what truly matters cannot be seen with the eyes but must be felt with the heart. Through the fox, the little prince experienced sincerity and kindness for the first time, and the loneliness in his heart melted away. Have you ever found yourself in meaningless social interactions like the little prince? When lonely, I sometimes wish for someone to talk to, yet after scrolling through my contacts, I quietly turn off my phone. In times of trouble, former friends with whom I shared meals and laughter suddenly become strangers. Over the years, we come to realize that those who can truly be our friends are very few. Instead of blindly expanding our social circles, it is better to narrow them down and reserve our energy for those who truly deserve it. The sincerity of 2 or 3 close friends is worth far more than the noise of countless superficial acquaintances. Keep your heart at peace. After bidding farewell to the fox, the little prince wandered aimlessly, exhausted. The scorching sun made him uncomfortable, and the sand-laden wind forced him to keep his eyes shut. A few days later, he encountered a pilot who had landed in the desert. Trapped in the desert for 8 days, the pilot was deeply anxious, his mind filled with tragic scenarios. What if I can't fix the engine? Who will complete the mission? Flights are delayed. Will there be enough water to last until tomorrow? There's so much I regret in life. As his water supply ran out, the pilot completely broke down, succumbing to high fever. In contrast, the little prince remained calm. He showed no signs of worry. Instead, he searched for water along the way, gazing at the starry sky and sharing stories of his fantastic journeys with the pilot. Through this relaxed approach and their conversations, he discovered a water source and helped the pilot escape danger. In life, each of us is struck by 2 arrows. The first arrow comes from the external world, the challenges and failures we often face. The second arrow, however, is one we shoot at ourselves, the negative emotions we create within. This arrow is always ready to pierce you when your heart is tangled in a web of negativity. Psychologist Alfred Adler once said, "No one lives in an objective world. We all live in a subjective world where everything holds its own meaning. If you are calm, your world will be peaceful and clear. If you overthink, your world will be filled with hardship and danger. Many times, it's not someone else tormenting you. It's your own obsessions haunting you." The Little Prince is more than a satire critiquing human society. It is a guide to establishing and maintaining relationships with others and ourselves. At the start, we are all like the Little Prince. Over time, as life complicates itself, we become bound by desires, fame, wealth, and status, gradually turning into kings, merchants, or even the pilot. As the author once said, "All grown-ups were once children, though only a few of them remember it." When we truly read and understand this book, we realize that life itself is never inherently complicated. Only our minds are. It's easy to turn simplicity into complexity, but shedding complexity to return to simplicity is always difficult. This process requires self-discipline and mindfulness. Yet, if you remind yourself to let go of material possessions, excessive desires, and unnecessary thoughts, Only then can you shape the truest version of yourself. If you found this video helpful, please support Rise Up with a like, share it with those who need it, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications for future videos. Let's all shed the chaos, embrace simplicity, and dispel the fog of materialism, desire, and apathy. Reconnect with the little prince within you.